welcome back to what I guess is becoming the ADHD series on my channel. A few weeks ago I made a video on what my life was like 2 years post ADHD diagnosis, and I hinted at a couple of strategies that I used to maintain focus and manage my focus throughout the day, especially as someone who works from home, who does content, who's doing a PhD at MIT. And so today I wanted to go into a little bit more detail on how I manage my focus and my health and my routines while having ADHD. A lot of this really does come down, for me at least, to finding ways of improving my focus or directing my focus or distracting the 40% of my brain that is its own random jukebox that wants to distract me at any given point in the day. The first strategy, and arguably the most important thing that I do when it comes to managing my focus so that I can actually get things done, isn't really managing my focus so much as it is scheduling tasks based on my energy levels and my motivation. And Elizabeth Phillips actually made a really great video on this, I think last week, so I'll link it so you guys can check it out. But essentially, for me, I find that I've tried time blocking, I've tried trying to, say I'm going to do 10 things in a day, and it really doesn't work unless I take into account how much energy I have, how much motivation I'm going to have, and how much focus I'll have left at that point in the day. And so because of that, I tend to schedule things that require like a lot of executive function. So things like being on camera is actually fairly exhausting for me. It's something that I don't tend to do at night if I can help it. If I can, I basically want to have everything set up such that I can sit down in front of the camera first thing in the morning and just go. That really helps me stay energetic and interesting, I guess. I hope I'm interesting on camera. But it's also helpful because things like writing and drafting scripts and things like that are also very taxing on my executive function, my energy, and my focus. And so if I have already spent the morning working on a script, chances are I'm not really going to have the brain space to be able to actually make a video in the first place, and it's going to be that much harder to get things done. If I know that I have to do something like that in the afternoon, because I work from home, I'll actually try to take a nap or something beforehand just to give myself a little bit of a boost. And I'm going to talk about some other ways that I manage my day/week in order to prolong that executive function/focus battery and in order to maximize the amount of energy that I have in a day. And then I try not to do things in the evening. I'm one of those people where if the party starts after 7, I'm probably not coming. For me, scheduling things based on my energy, scheduling things based on my motivation is really, really helpful. It's also very helpful for things like travel. I know that travel wipes me out, so I don't schedule things that are super important on travel days, or if I'm going to give a talk somewhere, I would travel the day before, not the day of. So I found that to be super helpful. Again, if you want a more in-depth explanation of that, I highly recommend Elizabeth's video. Of course, when it comes to scheduling things based on my energy levels and motivation, one of the things that I really try to do is maximize how much energy and how much focus I have in a given day so that I can get the most done. And one of the things that I found to be very, very helpful for that for me is regular exercise in the morning. So first thing in the morning, roll out of bed, move my body for at least 15 minutes. If I don't do this, I found that I basically have brain fog until about noon, where I'm spending 50% of the energy that goes into doing a particular task is just wrangling my brain and getting myself to focus on doing something, and the other 50% is actually doing the thing, which wastes a lot of time, it wastes a lot of energy, it makes things take longer than they really need to. Regular morning exercise has become a huge part of my life, and that's also why I'm actually pretty excited that this video is sponsored by Copilot, because that is what I use to make sure that I do my regular morning exercise. So I started using Copilot a few months ago because I have found that programming workouts isn't something that I really like doing, and it often ends up being a huge barrier to me actually exercising. Plus, I have a ton of injuries from 5+ years of varsity athletics. So I had been looking for a system that could help me essentially reach my fitness goals with a real coach and a program that could adapt based on whatever injury stuff I'm going through, whatever trouble stuff I'm going through. So I've been working with my coach, Olivia. She does my programming for me every week. She's amazing.
If you want and you want to like do it this way, I can put, if you send me what you do for physical therapy, I can put it together and you can have the app, kind of run you through it.
And it's been a really great way to stay consistent and just make sure that, I'm getting up in the morning and I have the energy to get through the rest of the day and I'm feeling good every day because I've done this morning workout first. So if you're looking to get started with some fitness goals or stick to ongoing fitness goals and you need that extra accountability, you can get 14 days free with your own health and fitness coach if you use my Copilot link linked down below in the description. In fact, speaking of getting steps in, one of the other things that has been really, really helpful for me in terms of maintaining focus, managing energy, managing focus, is actually incorporating movement in throughout the day. I'm a primarily inattentive ADHD person, but I do still get kind of the fidgets throughout the day, especially when I'm working at a desk. And so I have a bunch of ways that I do that. One is my standing desk, which I've, for a couple of years now, I think it's really helpful because it just lets me get up and not be sitting down all the time. I also actually have one of those under desk footrest thingies, which is also really helpful because I don't know what it is about people with ADHD, but I feel like sitting in a chair like a normal person is like the least comfortable way for me to sit throughout the day. Another thing that I have is a float deck balance board. So if I want to stand and I want to kind of move around a little, I find that to be really helpful. And then something I got recently is an under desk treadmill. And so that I use with the standing desk. I find it to be super helpful. It's kind of funny because I realized that in the past when I was working in an office or when I was in college, I used to take walking breaks like once an hour in order to like get my brain kind of going again, especially if I could kind of feel my energy and my focus fading. And now I have that for my home office, which has been such a game changer for staying on track. Now, obviously, if you don't work from home, having a lot of these things might be a little bit more challenging. I know they do make like under desk ellipticals, or you can just go try to take a walk if you can every hour or so if you need to just like get your brain back together. But I've found having ways to move in my office to be super, super helpful for just keeping my brain on track. And then it's also always good, especially someone who works from home. I'm not necessarily going to go outside if I don't have a reason to. It just won't occur to me. And so knowing that I'm at least getting some walking in is always really nice. Now, outside of movement, there are a bunch of other things that I've found to be good habits or things that help me facilitate good habits. One of them is virtual co-working. So I use a service called Flow Club. I'm actually one of their hosts now. And essentially you sign up for a hour to 3 hour session where you, at the beginning, talk about what you're planning on doing with everyone else in the session. And then you have deep work time for 50 to however long minutes. And then you get to talk about how much you did or did not get done. And I use it multiple times a week now, especially for any task that I know that I've been avoiding, because having the accountability of other people is nice, but also a lot of the time you get to the end of the session and people didn't get done what they said that they were going to get done. And it's nice to also see that other people also don't always get the work that they planned to get done. So Flow Club is one that I love. I actually have an affiliate link down below if you want to try it for free for 30 days. But that's been, co-working in general, I think has been really good for me, especially as someone who works from home. Another thing that I found really helpful throughout the day, especially as someone who's fairly prone to hyperfocus for topics that she gets very interested in, I will end up 6 hours down a deep dive into a topic that I didn't mean to deep dive into, is meal timers. For reasons I think having to do with ADHD and also not having to do with ADHD, I am very good at ignoring things that my body is telling me. So I don't tend to have hunger cues. I don't really get hungry most of the time. I don't necessarily know if I'm super sore. I'm pretty good at ignoring injuries. I think that part of that is like ADHD and attentiveness, where I don't realize that I like smacked into a bookshelf or something until I see the bruise the next day. So meal timers are something that I find super helpful because otherwise I would absolutely forget to eat. And when I forget to eat, I get lightheaded, I get dizzy, I get anxious, and I get frustrated. My my tolerance for any sort of inconvenience or irritation or anything like that essentially goes to zero. And that means that I'm probably not getting any work done. That means that I'm probably getting frustrated with myself for not getting any work done or for not making as much progress on something. And so having meal timers to make sure that even if it's just eating like a protein bar or like having a smoothie or something really simple, that makes sure that I get food in. Ideally the food is relatively healthy and I can get back to work and have that focus because I now have food in my system and my blood sugar isn't like crashing. And then last but not least, and this almost ties back to the first one and might be a little bit counterintuitive, but I think the one of the big things that I think has helped in terms of managing my focus is just knowing my limits. Knowing that if I've exhausted my executive function battery for the day, it's not going to help to try to keep working. Like if there's something that I have to do, a meeting that I have to go to or whatever, then I will get that thing done. But it doesn't help me to keep trying to push through and do whatever it is I'm trying to do. What's probably both better for me mentally, what's also better for actually getting work done efficiently, is usually to take a break. If I can push something off to the next day, push it off to the next day. Give my brain a little bit of a break. That might be going outside for a walk. That might be making dinner. That might be reading a book. It might be journaling. But I think in the past, I would definitely try to just strong arm my focus into appearing magically. And that's just not how my brain works. And I don't think it's really how anyone's brain works. So I've gotten a lot better at knowing when I've kind of hit a wall, and instead of trying to continue pushing, just taking a step away from it, going and doing something else, giving my brain some time to recharge, and then coming back to it at a point that makes a little bit more sense. Interestingly, the counter to this is that I'll also kind of allow myself to go down rabbit holes occasionally if it makes the most sense, or if there's something that for whatever reason isn't at the top of my to-do list but it's something that I'm really, really, really motivated to do. I will actually let myself just do the thing because now it's off my list. Is it the thing that I really need to do right now? No, but there's less on my plate, which automatically reduces my stress, and I probably get it done a lot more efficiently because I'm in that like really highly motivated, hyper-focused state. So that's how I manage my focus on a day-to-day basis. With ADHD, a lot of it for me just comes down to movement, making sure that I'm moving consistently. And so if you're interested in, again, developing those healthy habits, then I would highly recommend checking out Copilot. You can use my link down below. Otherwise, if you want to check out the other ADHD videos that I've done, you can check them out in this playlist. You can follow me on my various socials down here. And otherwise, I will see you all in the next one. Bye.